Hello, I'm Crosbie Lorimer and I'm an ambassador for the Landscape Foundation of Australia. In my role as an ambassador, I've been interviewing the 3 inaugural fellows of the Landscape Foundation of Australia about their research projects, for which each of them has received a grant from the Foundation. The common thread across all 3 fellowships is research in the field of urban green infrastructure, but the diversity of the topics they've chosen palpably demonstrates the breadth and reach of landscape architecture as a profession today. It's been inspiring to hear the stories behind the work of these 3 landscape architects, Michael White, Brittany Johnston and Daniel Jan Martin, and the Foundation is keen that these interviews inspire and energise others to take up the opportunity of a fellowship. The purpose of the fellowships is to support early to mid-career professionals who are looking to advance their expertise, explore and test innovative ideas, engage with other experts and position themselves for ongoing leadership. The recipients of the $10,000 fellowship, which can include professionals from related fields, will undertake a year-long research activity or special project that aligns with the Foundation's focus on protecting, restoring, creating and sustainably managing urban landscapes as vital green infrastructure. So whether you're considering applying for a fellowship or simply interested to understand what best practice research looks like in the field of urban green infrastructure, I hope you'll enjoy watching these interviews as much as I've enjoyed presenting them. Hello and welcome to the Fellows Interviews. My name is Crosbie Lorimer and I'm an ambassador for the Landscape Foundation of Australia. Today we're talking to Michael White, landscape architect and recipient of a grant from the Foundation for his research project. Michael, let's kick this off with a brief summary of your research, which has the title of Aerial Analytics. Tell us a bit about its scope and its goals.
The project is really about trying to explore how landscape architects might take some new technologies that have been developed, particularly in precision agriculture and new drone technologies, and try to create a kind of an as-built planting plan and understand how plant successes and failures are tracking across the project lifecycle, and to try to roll out that idea at scale across all of the work that we're doing.
A mighty complex challenge, because it's a bit of a sort of Rubik's Cube, isn't it, of so many variables. We've got the hardware, the software, we've got the soil, the weather, the plants, we've got then volume, height, width and so on. That's a massive challenge, isn't it?
Particularly when you can imagine that some of this stuff is happening on an active construction site, and there might be cranes going around, there might be restricted airspace, and all kinds of challenges. And like you're saying, there's a lot of multiple levels of variables that are affecting the outcome of planting. But it's really about taking records of some of that information. So you might be looking at climate data during the period that you're looking at. You might be looking at soil types, watering rates, things like that we do have access to that information typically. And then trying to use that to understand what's happening in a larger scale. So compared to what we might be doing sometimes where we're doing kind of single plot planting trial studies with a few square meters, and the precision in that is obviously much greater. But then we're rolling out large infrastructure projects where we might be putting 1 million plants in the ground across a wide area.
So this presumably along the way has required you to do a fair bit of prototyping as you're going, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So the early planting trials that we had looked at are around the kind of 5,000 square meter size, but we're now looking at projects that are much greater than that, that might be kind of an infrastructure corridor, a rail corridor, and there needs to be a sense of validating data quality at a small scale so that things can be rolled out at a larger scale and you have confidence that the data that you're collecting is accurate.
And so you're using the drone, we have the drone here, and doing aerial stuff, but you're needing to validate that at field level as well. So using phones, using the other things, and then using different camera types, is that right? Sort of spectral imaging and other things.
Yeah, that's right. So this is a Mavic M3E multispectral drone, which takes a number of different photos in different, mostly visible light spectra. Mm-hmm. And then those different layers can be processed and calculations performed to create vegetation indices and maps of moisture in the soil. Essentially, it's looking at rate of photosynthesis by comparing light in the green wavelength to the total amount of light that's kind of received on the site, and you're able to understand presence of vegetation, but also the photosynthetic activity and the health of that vegetation as well.
And then consistency is essential, so from the same viewpoint each time, and then doing that regularly, yes?
You're doing it over a period of time, a kind of a time series to understand the rate of change. You might be looking at the rate of vegetation cover, or you might be trying to get really granular on some sites where it's possible and look at individual plant successes and failures. If you're putting sort of 100 mil plants in the ground, or if you've got seedlings and weeds and things coming up, anything that is over 0.5 centimeters, you'll start to be able to pick that up. And for looking at it from a landscape architect's perspective and try to understand the establishment of planting, you really need to get into quite a granular level of detail. And I guess the good news about that is that things are improving all the time, and the resolution of commercially available photography, consumer level drones is taking off very quickly.
So you've got the hardware, you've got the software, you've also got to presumably, I think you were saying in your research, you've got to have a really clear idea about a baseline and then what does success look like, yes?
Yeah, that's right. And I think that you'll always need to some extent to be on site and to be establishing that baseline, doing small areas of manual survey, doing quadrat surveys and things. There are variables that are going to be different on site, like the base material. If you're planting into different mulches or different soil types, then that's going to establish a different baseline for comparison of what's successful vegetation and what's not, and different sort of climatic conditions as well. So you need to be kind of constantly validating that and checking against that as part of the process.
Absolutely, and for many years we probably believed a bit of our own rhetoric, won awards maybe even, and then not really perhaps gone back enough to actually look and see how things are working. Now we've got the technology, which you're talking about, to actually do that. Yeah,
that relationship ongoing with projects and with site is really critical to our practice, but I think it has been very challenging, partly because of scale on projects in the past, to really get into the data of what's happening on our sites and to monitor them over a period of time. One thing that this research is particularly focusing on is the early kind of establishment period, because the observations that I had made going out to sites and doing the planting trial studies is that there's quite a lot of change happening in that early establishment period. In the first 12 weeks, in the first 6 months, you can really start to see some successes and failures already. And I think we should be taking that as much as possible and continuing to move that forward as part of our practice.
What appealed to you particularly about the LFA Fellowship?
Having a local organisation that's really interested in landscape from a performance perspective and in addressing some of the big kind of issues that we're seeing in terms of climate, biodiversity crises, urban heat. So it was great to see the Landscape Foundation encouraging people to take part in that.
And the beauty of the foundation at one level is their extraordinary experience and then connections as well, finding the right people and linking fellows up with those people.
Yeah, that's right. So one of the things that was very helpful about the Landscape Foundation board was that as part of the report and the research that I've been doing, I did a series of interviews with different industry partners and stakeholders to try and get a series of different perspectives on the kind of issues of landscape performance and the things that we might want to be thinking about measuring when we're going out to these sites.
Michael, congratulations on this important pioneering evidence-based research. I can see landscape architects embracing this completely in terms of its application to their work in the future, and we very much look forward to seeing the outputs.
Thanks very much, Crosbie, and thanks to the Landscape Foundation.